A boy's pets will give him orders about what he has to do in his day-to-day life, but everything will get out of control and he will end up doing horrible things. It all starts with Jerry, an optimistic colleague who has started working in the shipping department and is doing very well. So his boss named Dennis invites him to organize the next corporate party. Jerry accepts without hesitation and returns home to prepare. But before he greets his dog named Bosco, suddenly Jerry hears a voice which tells him that they are only using him to work on his days off. However, the protagonist asks the voice to shut up. The next day, Dennis holds a meeting with several workers to offer their ideas about what they could do at the party. A girl named Fiona has a great idea for entertainment, but the others tell her that it is nonsense. However, Jerry supports her and tells the boss that they should listen to her, and because of this, Fiona begins to become fond of him. Later, Jerry goes to see his therapist named Warren, who asks him if he is taking his medication, but the protagonist does not give him the correct answer, and only tells him that the voices in his head no longer make themselves heard that night. Finally, it's the company party, so everyone takes out their best dance moves and starts shaking the boat, and while Fionn is dancing, Jerry is mesmerized by her beauty upon returning home. The main character has a conversation with his cat, but Bosco interrupts them and asks Jerry to take him for a walk. Since he doesn't want to listen to Mishi's negative speeches, sit back, relax, and get comfortable because today I'm gonna tell you the voices. The next day, Jerry goes to the accounting offices to visit Fiona and ask her out. But then her friend Lisa interrupts him and asks him if he would like to go out to dinner with all the girls in the office, to which Jerry says yes once at the restaurant. The main character feels somewhat uncomfortable because the girls are in their own world. Lisa notices this, so she tells him that he should take Fiona to her house. And despite the fact that she doesn't want to, she ends up accepting, and before getting out of the car, Jerry invites her to dinner on Friday night. The next morning, he goes to look for Fiona to give him the address of the restaurant, but Lisa tells him that she has not arrived at the office. So the partner writes down the address, and when he leaves, Fiona comes out of hiding and tells Lisa that she does not know how to tell him that she does not want to have dinner with him, to which Lisa tells him that he simply does not show up at the restaurant that is pure evil when Friday comes. Fiona and her friends go to a karaoke to have fun, while poor Jerry waits for hours and hours at the Chinese restaurant. After a while, Fiona goes back home, but to her bad luck, her car breaks down and stops in the middle of the road simultaneously. Jerry is passing by, so when he sees her, he asks her if she wants a ride home, to which she accepts and apologizes for not showing up at the restaurant. Jerry tells her that it is okay, when in reality, she is heartbroken during the trip. They have a very interesting conversation, so much so that Jerry does not pay attention to the road, and Peaky gives a deer eternal sleep. The voices in his head ask him to finish it off since his suffering. So Jerry takes out a knife from who knows where and sends him to St. Peter. Fiona got all of the deer's tomato sauce on her, so she gets scared and runs away like crazy. Jerry goes after her with the knife in his hand and tells her that the deer asked for it. Fiona is so shocked that she doesn't realize that the guy just caught her, and when he lunges at her, she stabs him again and again while asking for forgiveness. I think he's crazy. Like this video if you have pets, or if you would like to have one, and comment, what do you like more, dogs or cats? When she gets home, she takes a shower to get rid of the red fluids, and meanwhile, Bosco tells her that she should turn herself into the police, but Michi thinks that that is a terrible idea. In the end, Jerry listens to Michi, so he goes back to the forest to pick up Fiona's body. When they stop, the sheriff asks him what happened to his car since it is very damaged, to which Jerry tells him that he crashed into a deer. The sheriff knows that this is common to happen, so he leaves and wishes her a nice day, but what he doesn't know is that Fiona is in the trunk. Later, the protagonist visits Dr. Warren and confesses that he stopped taking his medication. She tells him that if he doesn't, he could do terrible things, and reminds him that the only reason he's free is because of the leniency of the correction department, and if he doesn't follow the rules, she'll have to notify the authorities, so they put him in prison because apparently he had already committed a crime in the past. Once at home, he takes care of getting rid of Fiona and puts her in different containers, but his head is left in the refrigerator. Michi asks him not to take his medication because he will stop talking to them, but Fiona's head asks him to do it for the good of everyone. That night, the main character has a nightmare about his childhood. He used to talk to one of his toys, but every time his dad saw him talking to himself, he punished him and told him to be a normal person. When he wakes up, he realizes that his pets can't talk, so he feels completely alone. Fed up with this situation, he gets rid of all his medication, and when the effect of the pills wears off, he hears his pets talking again, as does Fiona's head, which asks him to give her Matanga Lisa. Since she feels very alone in the refrigerator from that day on, Jerry completely loses his mind, so he invites Lisa out. They share a nice evening where they talk about their pets, and Lisa gets a little naughty and invites him to go to her house. Under the pretext of meeting her kitten, Jerry accepts the invitation, but in the middle of the road, he deviates because he wants to. Taking her to her childhood home seems unusual to Lisa, but she doesn't think anything bad once there. Jerry remembers the night his mom was going to be admitted to a clinic, but she gave Jerry a piece of glass and asked him to give her a neck because she didn't want to spend the rest of her life locked up in a mental hospital. So the protagonist closed the door of the room and did what his mom asked him, and that's why he ended up in prison back to the present. Lisa feels empathy for the loss of her mom, only she doesn't know how she died, so she asks her to go to her apartment so she can relax a little. When they arrive at Lisa's house, the two have a moment of passion, and from that moment on, they both begin to fall in love. So Jerry's life becomes colorful one day. Jerry goes on the news that they found some parts of Fiona in the woods, so they will begin an exhaustive investigation. Meanwhile, Lisa and her friend get Jerry's address since she wants to surprise him. So as night falls, she arrives by surprise. Jerry panics and hides Fiona's head, covering it with his coat. When he leaves from his house, Lisa tells him that she bought him some cupcakes. The guy thanks him for this, and since he is very nervous, he closes the door by accident. So now he can't get into his house anymore. Oh my. Lisa offers to help him, but he refuses and climbs onto the roof of the house, but almost falls when he sees this. Lisa uses her skills to open the lock, and when she enters the house, she is terrified to see that everything is full of tomato sauce. And when she approaches the nightstand, she discovers Fiona's head. Jerry gets very sad about this, and since he doesn't want to hurt her, he tries to explain to her what happened, but Lisa locks herself in the bathroom and takes a pipe to defend herself. And when the guy manages to get in, she grabs him like a punching bag and then goes to the bedroom to escape through the window. But when she sees that Jerry is following her, she tells him that she promises not to say anything. But in that picky, Jerry makes her hit herself in the back of her neck, and in the next scene, we see how he now puts Lisa in the refrigerator. On the other hand, the workers of the company find an old article that talks about Jerry, and they discover that when he was little, he was admitted to a mental hospital after having awakened his mother. Alice and Lisa's friend goes to Jerry's house to talk to him, but we sense that everything went wrong because she also ended up inside the refrigerator. At this point, the main character feels terrible for everything he's done, so he decides to confess all his crimes to Dr. Warren. The lady gets scared upon hearing this, so she prepares to call the police, but Jerry stops her and captures her since he wants her to help him get better, because in his mind, he is not guilty of anything. The doctor tells him that the only way to beat the voices is to confront them. This answer pleases Jerry, so he returns home to confront his pets. Meanwhile, one of Jerry's co-workers arrives at Jerry's house and finds the girls awakened, so he runs out and calls the police. When Jerry gets home, he discovers that his pets are gone since they escaped when the bread opened the door. At the same time, the police surround the house, so Jerry frees the doctor so he can escape, but the idiot breaks a gas pipe, and when the police take out the doctor, everything goes boom, and we see that Jerry decided to rest in peace.